Welcome, Cancer. Hi, and welcome to your January 2022 reading and predictions. Hi, I'm Nigel Saint James. For those of you who are stopping by for the first time, and for the subscribers, great to see you. My love and affection to you always. Now, you subscribers will know that your annual reading has been published, and if you haven't seen your annual 22 reading, which uses 12 cards, then check out the playlist on my channel. It's very easy to find. Now, I'm just looking at these cards, and I normally, usually I use a lot of astrology and a lot of numerology and what have you, but this deck, it acts as a sort of a window which channels centers of consciousness. And so there are words that are coming through from this deck, which will probably not make a lot of sense to me, but they certainly will to you. And in particular, it may have things to do with your shadow self. Now, there's nothing frightening about that at all. Rather, it deals with things which may be in your subconscious or maybe things which you haven't wanted to think about. But I think what's more important is that when the words are spoken, as they come through, is that you listen to them, but then you think behind them. You think behind the words and to see what the meaning is that it gives to you, and you'll find that you get a lot out of it. That's the experience that people have told me over the years anyway, with this particular deck. So I'm not going to be using any astrology or numerology in it, but rather give you a fascinating reading, I think, which you'll enjoy. Now, the annual reading, as you know, on the playlist has 12 cards. This is going to use 5. What's this? That's the 9 of Wands. And the imagery that's in it harkens to the various mystery religions that are from classical times. Now, of course, the people in the classical times weren't stupid in their religion. In their religions, there's the Wheel of Fortune. That was the world, by the way. Gee, that's unusual to see the world like that. In that position, anyway. See what that has to say. See, I don't know yet. But what you will find is that they have those mystery religions. There's the Three of Swords, a beautiful image, has things to say and an approach to the understanding of your place within yourself and within you, the universe. You are the universe, of course. How could you not be? You're made of the universe and you're aware of yourself. But we'll see what there is. That was the Three of Swords, and there's the Chariot. That's always a great card to have in a spread, the Chariot. All right, as is our usual practice, though, why don't you come now, sit down here next to me. We'll have a good close look at these cards together while I do the reading for you. There now you can see these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I want to have a look at this Chariot first. It looks like a great guy's sort of a card for me, but very important for women is the message that it has as well. Now let us see what this is. Well, the card shows a great triumph, a parade during which the achievements of a general or war leader were showcased. The triumph displayed the details of the general's successful war or campaign in painted panels, as well as by displaying the spoils of war and bringing along high-ranking captive enemies as well. A great number of rulers and generals had triumphs, with some celebrating several, like Julius Caesar, he had 5. Now these triumphs were so grandiose and influential that they provided a model for the celebration of military success for centuries. Now, through the last couple of thousand years, there have hardly been a monarch, a dynasty, or an autocrat in the West who has not looked back to Rome for a lesson in how to mark a victory in war and to assert his personal power. The motive of the Roman triumph acts as a reminder of the capacity for your achievements to allow you to be remembered beyond death. It is also a symbol for the investiture of the value in the ego and concept of self, as well as its glorification, all of which can be found in the meaning of the Chariot. Now, the figure of victory stands behind the praised general in the triumph, holding aloft a laurel wreath of victory and divinity. It was Victoria, the Roman goddess of victory, who bequeathed success in war. She was particularly favored in Rome and had several temples, and she appeared frequently on Roman coins, often on those commemorating successful war leaders. But what is the mystery associated with this card? The mystery, let us see. Call my name in triumph. Sing my praises in victory. Give sacrifice only unto me, and I shall show you the mysteries of the triumphant road. I am the winged elevation to God-like status, pulling your soul from dirt into the shining heavens, there to place you as an immortal star, unconquered and unrivaled. I am the song of your name that lives long after the singer has gone, the rhyme of your deeds to last through the ages. I am the overcoming and the rising, the procession of the soul to greatness, and the achievement of your greatest ambitions. Know this, that the heavens were not created for the humble and the mediocre, and only greatness can ensure your immortality. What man is mortal whose name is remembered? What woman is not a goddess whose deeds are still spoken of? Yet do not mistake me. This is not the aggrandizement of the self alone, for this is the only service of the ego to the world. In your triumph, you shall show to others the possibility of greatness, bringing into their reach the highest of goals. Your virtue shall be enshrined in the holy words of the poets and inspire the journey to godhood of those who come long after you have gone. Now, the card underneath it, I think, looks quite interesting. Let's have a look at her. I think that this is Demeter. Demeter, who was the goddess of the seed, of fruits abundant, fair, harvest, and of nature. Yeah, the card image, I think, shows Demeter in her aspect as earth goddess, surrounded by flowers and wheat. The wheat was sacred to her and representative of the two gifts she gave to humankind. It also reminds you of the cyclical nature of the earth and therefore the universe. There is a time for everything to be born and for it to die, a time to sow seeds and a time to reap the harvest. Understanding the cycles of your life allows you to more fully engage with it and accept the changes that are ever present. The poppy that features among the brightly coloured flowers, well, that was worn by her priestesses, and it was also a symbol of death to the ancient Greeks. The poppy was often planted or grew naturally among the wheat fields, and it's therefore symbolic of the life-death life cycle that on goes. What, however, is the mystery that relates to her? Let's have a think. Mankind is born from before gods, fragments of the great titans that came before the heavenly ones. Yet their lot is given to them on the plains of wheat and flower, fruit and tree. Through the turning seasons they live out their days, and in their time they wear many faces. Like all creatures given life, they are at the mercy of change. It is as constant and reliable as the earth beneath your feet, as the sun's rising with every dawn. It surrounds you in the budding and blooming and the dying, in birth, life, death, and rebirth. It is my word and my embrace, my promise to mankind that there is nothing new under the sun, but all returns. I am of the earth, of the mysteries, and these titles are not opposite each other. I am the mistress of change, and have given to mankind the laws of the universe. That change will be your ever-present companion, and by the rituals of change you will measure out your lives and come to know the mysteries of the soul's transformation. For your soul is as seeds of corn descending into the earth to grow to their fullness, surrounded by matter. Time and time again they will be freed from the soil and rise up to the light, there to be threshed and ground and return once more to whence they came. Like the seasons, your soul will always walk a path of change. Descend into the chamber of my mysteries, and you will be shown the planting and the growing, the threshing and the consuming. Then you will truly know how to walk on the roads of change. Now let's have a look at this card here, the World card. Actually, now that I'm looking at this, do you know, in 1945, in a cave in Egypt, there were found some Christian scriptures, sacred scriptures, that had been buried for fear that they were going to be destroyed. They're known as the Nag Hammadi Library, and amongst one of them was a Gnostic text called Pistis Sophia. And that tells of Sophia, that is wisdom, her ascent back up through the aeons following her fall into chaos. She had originally tried to do something without the approval of God and fell down and came back. Well, Sophia's ascent and reunion with the divine is complete when she states from that text, as I recall it, "For the light is with me, and I myself am with the light." Now that text, I think, also states that Sophia's light energy will be drained by the beings in chaos. So, in the same way, when we forget our divine origins and the sacred spark within us and in others, our light begins to fade. Now, Sophia's fall is the descent of the soul into matter. This and her repentance and redemption created the three parts of the universe: matter from her suffering, soul from her repentance, and spirit from her understanding. Sophia needed a place in which unformed spiritual substance could grow to maturity, and this place was the material world. Now, this teaching reminds you that you originate from the divine. It is your inheritance and your birthright to seek reunion with it. Now, this world card represents the womb in which the understanding to achieve this is gestated like a fetus in a mother's womb, and the process through which you may learn to combine the ordinary things in your life with the divine element in your life and in yourself in order to transcend them. Sophia therefore holds, or just have a look at it, a flaming heart in her right hand, which is the anima mundi, or the world soul, an intrinsic connection between all living things on this planet and all throughout the universe. But what is the mystery that is associated with it? What can we get here? You have walked the long road, seeker of wisdom, with your feet on the firmament of the earth. But do you see the place in which your head resides? Do you see the starry canopy in which the angels call you back to your place of birth? You are a being of divine origin, one star among the company of stars above, with a blood tie to the earth below. You are the very force and process through which the universe might know itself. You are the means by which the sacred is exalted. All things share in your divine spark. By exalting that which is above, you also exalt that which is below. No thing is separate from another thing, yet they are fragmented from the Great One. This is the triumph and completion of the world and the soul's journey. It has separated from the heavens so that it might come to know the plethora of manifestations, the variety of manifestation into which it is born, so that it might know reunion with the whole. Your soul is a cauldron of mixing things together in which the sacred and the ordinary dance and embrace each other. When you have opened your eyes to this truth, you may see in me all my glory, resplendent with my prostitution among the company of mortals, for I am wisdom, and am to be taken by all. My mystery is that of the beginning and the end of all things, of the purpose for the journey, and the attainment of the completion. I am the first and the last, the fallen and the exalted. I am your birthright. Now, seeker, you have reached the end, and thus you can see the beginning. Now, well, it only leaves this column over here on the left, doesn't it? Well, let's start at the top and have a look at, this is Cleopatra. By the looks of it, wouldn't you say? I'd say so, Cleopatra. Now, why might that be interesting? Well, do you know, this is the Nine of Wands, and as we get close to the end of the suit of wands, you find that your energy is depleted and sent off in all directions, used up along the way. Now you have a fight continuing before you, a challenge yet to face before completion can be achieved. So, in a sense, wounded and weary, you urge yourself onward once more. However, unlike the Ten of Wands, in which you carry heavy burdens that oppress you, this final push towards the finishing line is not a burden for you. It is an opportunity for greatness, and the price you must pay if you are to reach your goal. Here in the Nine of Wands you find the fine line between exerting all your force and conserving your energy. It presents the necessity to wait for the opportune moment in which to strike. Now, to some it might look like your waiting is weakness, yet it is in this time that you conserve your energy, build up your strength, and ready yourself to fight on. This unity of stillness and action is symbolic of the cyclical nature of this card here. A real theme for you. While many of the cards in the suit of wands, I think, see power as being something to be grasped that can be held forever, the Nine of Wands shows you that power waxes and wanes like the moon. Instead of trying to hold on to it, you should try to respond to its flux. In this way, you will not fight impossible battles, and your energy will be conserved for the right moment. Now, that considerable shifting and changing of power dynamics is something that arises in the life, or did arise in the life of Cleopatra. who was the last pharaoh of Egypt, incidentally, before Rome invaded them and took them over. Now, she had a continual struggle for dominance in her life, first over her little brother, because pharaohs until her time couldn't rule by themselves. So she had a 10-year-old brother originally ruled with her, and he somehow or other found himself accidentally drowned in the Nile River. I don't know how that would have happened. But she then was very, very good at administering Egypt, but had all these constant problems to deal with. First of all, she had to deal with the political backstabbing within Egypt and within the court. Then she had to deal with the Romans. She had an affair with Julius Caesar, bore him a son. Caesar is the word. Incidentally, Caesarean, as in Caesarean section for taking a baby out of the mother's womb by cutting it, that doesn't come from Caesar or from Caesar's child. Caesarean actually means little Caesar or young Caesar. So you may not have known that, but that's the interesting thing. Now, Caesar, of course, was assassinated on the Ides of March in, I think it was 44 BC, wasn't it? And then Mark Antony. She had a long and tumultuous affair with Mark Antony, and they ultimately then were surrounded by the guy who then later became the first emperor of Rome, Octavian, who then became known as Augustus, the Emperor Augustus. And they both committed suicide. But what is the mystery? Few pathways are straight and easy to tread. The most ambitious of the roads lead through fire and blood. I speak at the road of battle and struggle, of the tensing of muscle and flexing of sinew and flesh, of the lungs filled with heat and the heart pounding. Know that pain is not unending, that the fight must flow like the ocean's tides, moon-kissed and ever-changing. Now it is deep water, overwhelming and drowning. Soon it will be drawn back into its swell. Then you must rest, for your blood flows free. Then must you gather your strength once more, remaining certain in the knowledge that your time of battle will come again, and you must meet it with fervor and fury. There is no ending to the struggle when you walk these roads, only the briefest moments of calm. Walk by my side, warrior, for I can show you the way of conserved force and of the right time to strike. My name is strength in weakness, action in stillness, conflict in peace, and my blessing is the price due in the shifting sands of battle and the grasping of power. Yet do not grow complacent, for the battle is never won. You must fight on. Now I'm sure that takes us only then to the final one, which is here, which is the Three of Swords. What a beautiful, beautiful painting. Let me look at that. God, that's gorgeous. Beautiful stuff. Let me have a look. Okay. Well, first of all, I'll say that the image here is pretty stark and bleak. Three swords in the image are stained with blood to represent the hurt and pain associated with this card. And around them is an icy, snowy landscape, which is indicative of the feelings of being frozen and unable to move that often accompany existential, all-consuming grief and suffering. Now, at its worst, the Three of Swords answers the question, what am I to do? How will I go on? With a resounding, nothing. You can't. Yet, behind the clouds, you can see that a little sunshine can now be seen, and the blood from the swords falls onto white roses, symbolic of innocence being damaged by hurt while remaining intact. Do you know nothing will go untouched by sorrow in its life, but it does not need to be destroyed by it. What, however, is the mystery? And the mystery, I think, is to love and to think are not gifts. They come with a price that you must perceive and feel loss and grief. To unite the grief of the heart with that of the mind is the particular curse of humanity, yet it might transform into a blessing. Your heart may be shattered and pierced, your soul wounded. But think, such a simple thing, and you can be pulled from the churning waters and perceive the greater need. Now, you could be consumed by the hay bale fire, or let it enlighten you. Now, this is not a time for your pain and sadness. This is the time when necessity drives you out of pain and into realization. You do not have the luxury of drowning. I am the sorrow of the world for the greatest things. I am the mother mourning the children of every woman. Grief cuts and grief hurts, but I am the more terrible pain felt not in the heart, but in the very being. The knowledge of the world's impermanence should drive more fear into your heart than the realization of your own death. For even the most concrete, strong of minds must begin to falter under the weight of that fearsome, awful knowledge that all is futile and for nothing. Now, even now, I can hear you raging against this with every fiber of your being, proclaiming your importance as fully as you can, but this will bring only more grief. The pain you feel rooting you to the spot is mine. Everywhere and excruciating, yet powerful. For what can one do in the face of it? I offer you the power of the only thing you can do. Have compassion. Do not sorrow with the world, but for the world, and a light brighter than before will burn, fueled by your sorrowing, transformed into compassion, reflected in the knowledge of what is at stake. Fascinating spread for you, and that's how it is for you this month. Well, that's January 2022 done for you. Fascinating, absolutely fascinating, I think. Don't you? I think it's going to be a great month for you, and don't you deserve it? You really do. Anyway, some interesting food for thought there, I think, and you know how to do it. Onwards and upwards for you always. Now, remember one thing, and it's one thing to remember until I see you again, and it is this, that you are a legend, and I look forward to seeing you again next month. And until then, it's bye for now.